Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ojan, and I would like to welcome you to our financial literacy webinar. Tonight, we'll be covering a very important topic. Our goal is for you to learn how we help people secure their family's financial future, especially in times like this. To share this extraordinary information is an individual who's made a huge impact in our community. For the past 16 years, she and her husband have been on a crusade to help thousands of families reach their financial goals. This individual is a servant leader who has a goal to ensure that no family is ever left behind. She is a great mentor to entrepreneurs, a loving mother and wife, and last but not least, an individual with the highest level of integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, let's together welcome tonight's presenter, Ms. Corinne Grigorian. Corinne, can you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you, Ojan. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely fine.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I appreciate you so much. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited and looking forward to spending the next hour with you just to go over some very important, financial concepts that I believe every single person needs to know and be aware of, because right now we're facing, like Ojan mentioned, an extremely tough situation in the world. The whole world is facing this pandemic. So aside from the health crisis, the second crisis that people are faced with is the financial crisis. So I am excited and, for the point that I get to have this opportunity to help in any way possible to raise the awareness and help people. I can't help them on the health side, but I could definitely, put things in perspective when it comes to the financial side. So I'm excited. And again, I would urge you to pay close attention to what we're going to share, because I believe the information, if it's applied and actually, pondered upon, and you seek advice after we finish this call, could potentially put you on the right path to have a better financial future, not just for yourself, but for generations to come in your family's legacy. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is again Corinne. I've been with World Financial Group for the last 16 years with my incredible husband. We've been building this company side by side. We started from nothing. Essentially, I did work as a bank manager, and I was in banking for 10 years. But we were struggling financially as a young couple, didn't really know what to do, where to turn to. No matter what we tried, it seemed like it was just kind of a rat race where no matter how much money we made, none of it would stay at the end of the month. And we were actually struggling more than before. So if some of you feel that way, where you feel like no matter what you do, no matter what you try, no matter what venture you start, or no matter how much raise they give you at your work, you're still kind of chasing money, then this could be the right thing for you. I could promise you the next hour is going to be very, very worth your time. So let's get right into it, because I think it's extremely important for us to start strong. So I want to tell you today some basic concepts. Again, you could be on this call as one of our newest associates that you just started with our firm and you're here to learn and see what you need to do as far as your next steps. Or you could be here as a first time, as a guest coming in because somebody thought of you. Somebody honestly thought of you enough to give you a link to this presentation because they want it to be a ray of light in your life where everything else is kind of going wrong around you. So definitely make sure you thank them, because again, not a lot of people are reaching out and helping one another. Or you could be, again, revisiting and just kind of going through this class once again, even if you've done it before. It's always good to get a perspective from different trainers. So, but I'm going to get right into it. So I'm so excited for this. All right. Now, let me ask you a question. We're going to look at some facts to begin with. In the beginning of my presentation is going to be mainly just educational. I'm just going to give you basic concepts. And definitely towards the end is when we're going to get down to it and actually kind of summarize as far as how you could help yourself, right? Information is great. That's awesome. It's good to know the facts. It's good to know what's out there, but you also need to know what your next step should be, what you need to do in order for you to, again, come out and build a strong foundation. Now, let's look at some facts to begin with. Did you know that, like they've done studies and studies and studies over and over, where they've taken, let's say, 100 people at a very young age, and they've asked them a question. What do you want to be? Do you want to be financially free when you grow up? Where do you see yourself financially, as you get older? And you know what? all 100 say, I want to be financially free, I want to be wealthy, I want to be a multi-millionaire, I want to, have a big businesses, I want to contribute, I want to have a great positive life. And guess what? Every single one of those 100 people wants something that's big like that. True? So, and what happens is, if you look at after 40 years, when they go back and look at these people, or like, again, by the time they're, at age retirement, they look at the same 100 people that wanted to be financially free, and they find out, what, by the age of 65, 96% of those people that wanted to be financially free are actually, they end up being dead broke. Right? All of them wanted to be free, but 96% end up dead broke. 3% will retire comfortably, and only 1% out of the 100 will be financially independent. Now you ask yourself a question, wait a minute, what's wrong with this picture? If everybody wants financial freedom, why is such a small percentage that ends up actually financially free? You may be asking yourself this question all the time. What differentiates the people that are wealthy from me? Why am I not wealthy yet at this stage of my life? You could be pondering about these things all the time. And what I used to be taught from my parents is, oh, rich people are just lucky, right? They just, inherited all the money. But it's absolutely not true. If you look at statistics, you will see that very small percentage of wealthy individuals in the country and in the world today have inherited the money. Majority of them succeeded and became wealthy because they had a plan. They had a financial plan. So those that have a plan end up rich. Those that don't have a plan, guess what? End up poor. It's as simple as that. So what I'm going to help you to do is understand the importance, first and foremost, of a plan. And we also have to understand how to plan. Where do we go to plan? Does that make sense? Because think about this. Where do people get their financial education from? Right? Where do they get it from? Do we get our financial education from the school system? Do teachers teach us how to, become smart with our money? Do schools have programs where they teach how to become financially independent? Absolutely not. If you look at the map of United States, you only see 4 states that are kind of shaded blue. Those are the states that actually require a mandatory 1 semester financial education in high school. And the rest of the states do not. And this is just 1 semester. So schools don't teach us. Where do we learn from? Do we learn from our society, where we grow up? Do we learn from our parents? And guess what? If we grew up in a middle income family and our parents suffered financially, majority of the time, anybody that grows up in a household like that ends up almost identical to their parents. If my parents suffered financially, then if I don't come up with a plan, I'm going to end up suffering financially. And that's the reason why my husband and I, we're actually struggling, because we both grew up in a middle class income family where parents were always fighting about that there's not enough money, not enough money. And guess what? Apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, right? What else? Is it our culture, right? Some cultures actually, teach that money is the root of all evil. Some cultures do not. Some cultures, emphasize the saving habits and their children and families. But again, it all depends on where you're learning this from. Again, we talked about this education system or the teachers. Teachers most of the time are struggling financially. So I bet that they're not teaching kids how to become financially independent. And it's crazy because I always talk about this in our trainings. I say, you go to these schools that have, it says a business class. They have a teacher that's standing there teaching you how to, a business, how to run a business, but yet they've never owned a business themselves. How could they teach something they've never had? Is that true? What else? Do we get our financial education from social media, right? Or the news, or people that are are famous, are on TV? So you see the wealthy people, you think that's what's considered wealth. Is this who we're learning from, right? So it's completely convoluted, because none of these things could essentially put you on the right plan if somebody that you're dealing with, that's educating you, is actually properly licensed and positioned to give financial advice. Is that true? Because that's how it is in everything that we do. When we need help in a certain area, we find who specializes in that specific area, and we'll go to them. Right? I always bring up this example. You don't go to your car mechanic to get dental advice, right? You go to a dentist. But for some reason, when it comes to the financial world, people think it's different. So they ask advice from random people that are, their neighbor, their cousin, their, dad. Again, you got to ask yourself, have these people succeeded financially, and do they have the credibility to give me advice? right? Think about this. Are you financially prepared? Especially nowadays, my goodness, people are, they don't know what to do. They don't know how long this is going to last, how long they're going to be out of a job. Where are they going to turn to? How are they going to, pay for basic financial needs that they're faced with every day? But think about this for a second. How essential is money, right? Because sometimes people say, well, money is not important. Really? I promise you, a person that's saying that is probably the one that actually doesn't have enough money, because money is a survival, right? It's a survival tool, because without money, how can you survive? Is that true? I'm going to give an example after this. You'll see the importance of it. But we need money in order for us to survive, for our basic needs. But you know what? This is very important. Write this down. There are four things that could happen that could stop your income from coming in. Four things. And what you need to do is understand these four things and be prepared to protect these four things that I'm about to share with you, in order for you not to, again, have loss of income. Does that make sense? So pay attention to this, because I believe this slide is the most important slide that I'm going to share with you. If you understand this and you position yourself in the right place in order for you to have all these four things that I'm going to tell you protected and in the right place, man, you'll be solid, right? You'll be on the right path for, again, financial success. Think about this. What is the first way that your income can stop? What is the first way? Loss of job or business. Are a lot of people facing this? Absolutely. How many businesses are closing down? How long the ones that haven't closed down will be able to maintain their, again, their business before, again, they shut down? Makes sense? How many people have already filed for unemployment? Does that make sense? So how do you protect this? How do you protect from again, loss of, in case you lose a job, right? You got to make sure that you have some type of a business that has passive income. Does that make sense? So again, if you don't understand what this means, we'll get back to it. And again, make sure you set up a time with the person that asked you to be on this call, so they could put you in front of a person that could, again, better explain the details that you may miss as I'm speaking to you right now. But that's the first way that your income could stop. What is the second way your income can stop? You retire. Is that true? The minute you retire, what's going to happen? Your current active income is going to end. Makes sense? Even if you have a 401k or you have some type of a pension, which most companies are shutting down as of right now, so you can't even rely on that stuff. But when you stop working, your income is going to stop. Nobody's going to pay you after your retirement age. So what's the solution for that? For that, what you need is you need to make sure that you're saving. You have big enough savings that when you do stop, you'll be able to live off of that income for the rest of your life. Guess what? Right now, most people, when they end up retiring, average 5 to 7 years later, they ran out of the money that they've already have saved up. If you don't have over $1 million in the retirement savings, chances are you're going to run out. So what do most people have to do if they haven't saved enough? They're forced to go back to work. And guess what? Wherever they used to work, they're not going to hire them back. They're going to take some, again, retail job or, fast food job, diner, things like that. Nobody wants to live like that. Your retirement age should be for you to enjoy, for you to spend time with your family, your grandkids. So again, big savings is a key in order for you to avoid that loss. Next one, how else could your income stop? Some kind of a disability or critical illness. Think about this for a moment. Nobody plans for these things out, you guys. You don't go get yourself a health insurance because you're hoping to get sick. Is that true? But you get it just in case. Nobody goes buys a car insurance because they're hoping to get into a car accident. They do it just in case. So same thing when it comes to our health. You don't protect yourself for a disability or a critical illness because you think you're going to get into that. Again, average 75% of people will face that. So the statistics are a lot higher when it comes to that, but you do it again. So just in case it does happen and your income stops because you're unable to work, then you'll be able to have some kind of an insurance plan, some kind of a long-term care plan, some kind of, again, living benefits plan that will pay you in case of that, again, disability or critical illness. But we'll come back to that. I'm going to touch up on that in more detail later on. Okay, so living benefits, I talked about that. That's how you solve that problem. Now, what is the fourth way? Fourth way that your income can stop is, again, loss of life. We all have terminal illness called, aging. None of us are going to get out of this life alive, right? I love this quote. It says, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. But guess what? We're not going to be here forever. We just don't know when that's going to happen. But it's always important to make sure that you protect your family legacy, that when you're gone, your family is not in a worse position, that you've taken care of your responsibilities. That's something on you. It's nobody else's responsibility to take care of our family, our loved ones. Does that make sense? And we should never be a burden on other people. If we ever again were to leave this world, I want to make sure that I've left my family and loved ones, my children, in a better position than before, not worse. Makes sense? And that's why they talk about this all the time. They say when a rich people dies, they live a will. But unfortunately, when a poor person dies, lives a bill. Nobody wants to do that to their families. You want to make sure that your family legacy moves on with or without you. Makes sense? Think about these 4 ways, 4 things that I just shared with you. Again, loss of job, retirement age, critical or disability, or again, loss of life. These are the 4 ways that your income could stop. And ask yourself a question. Am I protected in all of these 4 areas to make sure if I lose a job, no problem. I got passive income that's coming in. I'm ready for my retirement. I got my, living benefits all set for. No matter what happens to me, I'm protected. And God forbid, if I prematurely live this planet, my family is going to be taken care of it. All my responsibilities, my mortgage, my kids' education, my debt, right? And income for them to survive on is all set for. How important is this, you guys? How many people actually sit down and plan this stuff out? Not many, I promise you. And that's why out of 100, 96% end up broke. Why? Because they didn't plan. They didn't plan. Now look at this. How long can a person last without a drink of water? Right? Think about this. I talked about how important money is, right? But look at this one. They say 3 to 4 days, right, would be typical that somebody could, live off of, up to a week maybe, right? Gandhi lived 21 days without food, right? Without food. So he survived 21 days without food. It was complete starvation. But they've done a survey where they actually looked at the survey that showed 68% of households, 68%, you guys, would find it difficult for them to, again, continue if their paycheck was delayed for even just 1 week. Not 3 weeks without food, 1 week. If their paycheck was delayed 1 week, they wouldn't be able to survive, right? They would have a difficulty surviving. Think about that. This is so important, right? So important to have everything in place. So I'm going to ask you a very important question. Maybe nobody has ever asked you this, but do you know what your PIN number is? Now, some of you may be like, what is she talking about? What is that? Is she asking me for my PIN number? What is this, right? I didn't sign up for this. No, do not give me your PIN number. I'm talking about a FIN number, financial independence number. Do you know what that number is? Do you know what's the amount that's going to take for you to have complete, total financial freedom? How important is that number, you guys? How important it is for you to understand what it's going to take. Because the reason why most people don't end up wealthy is because they don't even know what it's going to take for them to have financial freedom. You ask people a simple question, right? How much money do you want to have? A lot. How much is that? A lot of money. What's the number? You got to know the exact number, because guess what? Once you know that amount, you'll be able to put a strategy in place with the help of a financial professional, of course, right? And start working towards that goal, because financial freedom, my friends, does not happen by luck, as my parents taught me. It does not happen by some, again, mysterious thing. It happens by choice. It's a complete choice. And all of us have a choice. We have a choice to put a plan together and work towards financial freedom, or stay the same, do nothing, and end up broke. I always use this quote. They said this to us early on, and we made a decision, my husband and I, to never struggle financially and put ourselves in a position to be completely, totally free. They said, if you're born poor, it's not your fault. But if you die poor, it's your fault. I believe that 100%. See, you may be on the other side of the screen and thinking, what is she talking about? She has no idea what I'm going through. She doesn't know how much stress I have. She doesn't know the financial responsibilities I have. Of course, I choose to be free. Is she crazy? What is she talking about? I promise you, no matter how bad your situation is or looks like at this moment, there's still a way. There's still a way, because guess what? My husband and I were below poverty when we started, right, this business, when we were actually put on a savings plan. below poverty. We're in $250,000 in debt at age 26 because we had started a business with my husband, an optical retail store. $250,000 in debt. Think about that. What could have happened to a couple with a brand new baby, right? Where we had a brand new baby boy that was born, and we already have this huge debt accumulated. What was going to happen at that point? We were just digging a hole for ourselves and kind of going deeper and deeper and deeper. But you know what? Instead of looking at that and suffering and struggling and acting as a victim, we said, we got to do something about it. We started reaching out and looking for an opportunity for us to come out of the mess that we have created for ourselves. And luckily, that's when this business opportunity came into our life. And we met some of the greatest mentors that, guided us and helped us understand. And first and foremost, realize what our FIN number is and put us on a path for us to be able to get there. All right. So everybody can do it. The question is, will you do it? All right. Now let's move forward. So how do you build a strong financial foundation? What is considered a strong financial foundation? I believe, again, it looks at four things, right? Four things, because you got to consider the fact certain parts of your life are going to be your working years, and certain parts of your life are going to be your retirement years. Makes sense? Now, retirement years, when I'm talking about retirement, I'm not saying, you have to stop what you're doing. A lot of people love what they do. My husband and I talk about this all the time, that we're going to, do this because we love helping people so much. We love raising financial awareness, giving people a chance to have complete, total financial freedom. It feeds us, again, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. This is something, I can't wait to wake up and start doing it, right? So we look at it, we're going to do this till the day we die. But I'm talking about working because you want to, or working because you have to. There's a very big difference between those two things. Does that make sense? When you're working because you want to, it's a completely different level of satisfaction. But if you're working because you have to, you have to pay the bills and all that stuff, and you have the stress of the money coming into you, then that's a whole different situation. But again, you look at during your working years, obviously you got to make sure you have cash flow, you have money coming in, and the thing you got to plan, and strategize to make sure that between the money that's coming in and the money that's going out, meaning what's coming and your expenses, you actually have a gap, meaning you're not spending everything that's coming, you're not putting everything out the door as it's coming. You actually have even a small gap, right? In the beginning, they said, when our mentor sat down with us to do our financial planning, said, okay, we said, we're negative, we have nothing, right? And most people's answer to this is, when I have money, I'll save money. Well, that's completely backwards. You'll never have it unless you start. So the amount is never the question. It's a matter of creating a habit where, again, you have that small little gap between what's coming in and what's going out. So you take some of that gap, some of that money that's coming in, that's flowing into your life, and you protect your family, right? You protect your family. Makes sense? Some portion of that is going to start going into an account where it's growing, right? You got to make sure that your assets are growing, you're saving enough money, your family's protected, your assets are growing. So in the future, when you retire, you have income for the rest of your life. Think about this. If you're not saving, and then obviously we're all going to get to that point where we're going to have to stop working, right? Again, physically, you won't even be able to, even if you choose to. If you haven't saved enough, if you haven't protected your family, how will you have future income created for yourself? Makes sense? So these are very important questions that you got to ask yourself when it comes to cash flow. What am I doing? What am I doing right now to add additional source of income, again, to my household? What am I doing? Do I have any additional sources, or it was just that one source, and right now it's actually in jeopardy? All right. And what else? How much coverage do I need? And what kind of coverage do I need to protect my family? Because that's what happens. See, most people are so confused in this aspect that they rather not take any action because of the confusion. They're so overwhelmed, right? They're so overwhelmed. They say, you know what, forget it. I don't want to deal with this. And we're going to talk about that, why people do that. But they rather not to move forward because they're confused. So we're going to tell you about that as well. What else? How much savings do I need? Again, what is my FIN number? How much do I need in order to have that strong situation set up for my family? And lastly, how much income will I need during my retirement days? How do I know? How do I figure this thing out? Is it a magic ball that I get to roll the dice and kind of leave it up to gamble? And the answer is absolutely no. There's a formula for every single one of these things. There's a simple formula. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. So again, You have to remember, most people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. I know it sounds like a play on words, but it really, think about this. The 100 people that we talked about in the beginning of the presentation, the 100 people that wanted to win, they all won it, but only 3% of those, 3 to 4% of those people actually had a plan, and that's the reason why they made it. So plan is key, it's essential in everything, right? You don't, an architect doesn't start, like construction doesn't start on a home until there an architect, comes up with some kind of a plan. Makes sense? Everything that we do in our life first has to be put into a plan, and then we get to work. Makes sense? So plan is first. Now, I talked about, again, depending on who taught you how to deal with money, or what environment you grew up in, you will kind of, you're kind of programmed in the area of money, again, depending on the surrounding, and depending on how your parents dealt with money, how your friends dealt with money. I remember somebody told my husband once, he said, Jack, if you have 9 broke friends, chances are you're the 10th one. If you hang around with a bunch of people that are losing in money game, guess what? Like attracts like. So if you're hanging around with people that are losing in that sense, chances are you are too, because that's where our comfort zone is. But we're all programmed when it comes to money, believe it or not. And there's 4 ways. It's crazy because everything's like four, but there's 4 ways we get programmed, and you're gonna fall into either one or a combination of some of these categories that I'm gonna share with you. As I'm going through these areas, ask yourself a question: which one am I? Which one is my spouse, right? Or if you're not married, which one is, let's say, my parents? Which one of these categories do I fall into, and what do I need to do in that sense? Number one, how we're programmed is you're a spender, right? Before the money even hits your account, it's gone. How many of you know what I'm talking about? That was me and my husband. At the end of the month, there was never enough money in the account, because before even the direct deposit would hit our account, the money was already spent. It was already out. Actually, sometimes it would be even negative. All right. Spenders. You have, again, you've been programmed to be a spender. You have that saying which says, well, if I'm not going to enjoy it right now, what's the point? But guess what? There is a point, right? We got to think about tomorrow. I'm all about enjoying, but you got to put your priorities a little bit straight. So we had to make huge adjustments in our programming and how we dealt with money in order for us to come out of the rat race. Because the question goes down to, how long can you last like this? When the next pandemic hits or the next crisis hits, are you going to be safe, in a better, safe position financially? Or are you still going to be worried about, when are they going to, send me the stimulus check so I could survive? Makes sense? It's all about what we choose to do. Doesn't matter what happens to us, it's how we react and how we respond, and what we choose to do with certain things that we understand about these things that I'm sharing with you. The second category, how we're programmed, is savers, right? Are you a saver? Right. I've met so many people, through my business and through our company, that, man, they save 50% of their income. 50% of their income. That's incredible, right? But again, you got to make sure you have some balance where you actually also have some of that money that's budgeted for you to enjoy. So you don't want to be too extreme in any of the areas. Makes sense? But are you a saver? Are you somebody that, consciously makes a decision to put money aside every single month, regardless of how much is coming in, for you to be able to save for your future, or for whatever it is that you're planning to do? The third way, again, that we're programmed in the area of money, is called an avoider. Now, my husband was the biggest avoider ever, right? He wouldn't even open the mail, right? He's never paid a bill in his life, because he would just avoid the entire subject. He just didn't want to deal with this. And thank God, again, for the education that we received through this business and through the financial classes that we've gone through, that has helped us, fix these areas, right? And stop being an avoider. Because what happens when you avoid something? It doesn't go away, guys. It actually gets worse. Is that true? It actually gets worse. Avoiding has never solved anything, but a lot of people are avoiders when it comes to money. Think about this. How many, spouses or families actually sit down and plan their financial future? I always bring this example. Most people will spend a year, most couples will spend a year to plan for a wedding. And a wedding lasts few hours, not even a day, few hours, right? 6 hours. A whole year was spent on planning 6 hours of your life. But then when you ask those same couples, have you spent at least an hour to plan for the rest of your future? Most of the time, the answer is no. The answer is no. And that's why they end up struggling financially. And that's the reason why when you look at statistics, you realize majority of divorces happen because of financial stress. Majority of illnesses, right? Heart attacks, cancers, financial stress. It's not by accident, you guys. We cannot avoid a financial responsibility, understanding that, you could last longer without food than you can without money. Make sense? Look at this one. Or the last one, are you a money monk? And this is the one that, these are the people that say money is not important. They just want to sit, and I'm not making fun of any of these categories, because I promise you I was, in most of these categories myself, and my husband was as well. But money monks think money is evil. They don't need money. They just want happiness. But we're living in an economic planet, right? We have to have money in order for us, again, to survive. And if you're a spiritual being, which we all are, but if you're in, you're an enlightened person that feels like, what, money is nothing, I don't need money. Guess what? There are a lot of people in this world that need money, that need financial resources, that need medication, that need shelters, children that are starving. If you're one of those people that doesn't want to earn and make money for you, do it and give it away. That's also an option, isn't it? Right? So which one of these four are you, right? Which one? Are you a spender? Are you a saver? Are you an avoider? Or are you a money monk? But guess what? We all may have some combination of all of them. But the important thing is we have to make sure that no matter what area we're in, we're able to change some of our habits to understand, yes, I want to enjoy life, but I have to put my priorities straight, because nobody's going to come and bail me out. I got to be able to stand on my own 2 feet and be able to survive no matter what happens around me. Make sense? And be able to take care of your own responsibilities yourself. All right, look at this. So it's very important for us to understand. Now, we talked about it. So we want to be savers, right? We want to save money. We want to protect our family. That's awesome. We all want these things. So let's take a look at where to go, right? How money works, as far as where to go to make the money work for you, how to grow it, and how to keep it. Very important things. Everybody should know this, right? I wish this stuff was taught in high schools and even elementaries. My husband and I, we have 2 kids. We have a 17-year-old and we have a 13-year-old. Because we started the business when my son was only 6 months old. We were, again, thank goodness, we learned these concepts. We learned the money language. So in our household, we're always talking about the importance of saving, and our kids have their own separate accounts. We sit down with them, we read their statements with them, we show them how the money grew, what happened, all the diversified portfolios that they're in, and all that stuff. And it's awesome to see, because from early on, even though my daughter's only 13 years old, the first thing she thinks about when somebody gives her money is, which account am I going to save this in, mom? Not which toy am I going to buy, or how am I going to waste this money? That's crazy, right? It's so important. And it starts with us. If we're saving, guess what? Our kids are going to be the same, right? Because they're not listening to what we're telling them. They're actually watching what we're doing. It's so important. So let's take a look. Where to go? Most people, when they have money, they want to save money. They take their money. They take it where, you guys? They take it to a bank. Is that true? They take it to a bank, and what happens to the bank? What does bank do with that money? What the bank does with that money is takes it and puts it in an insurance and investment firm. So they take your money, they put it in an insurance and investment firm to grow the money. And in turn, insurance and investment companies pay the bank back 8 to 10%. And guess what the bank does? The bank takes that 8 to 10% and gives the client, the person, 0 to 2%. You'd be lucky even if you find 2% interest rate at a bank today. Is that true? So there's a way for you to avoid the middleman and go straight to, again, putting where banks put the money. Makes sense? And you have to just understand the concepts and products that's out there that's available for everybody. But unfortunately, most financial institutions don't teach this stuff, right? Because they rather you go borrow from them, then they'll charge you 8 to 10%. But when you give them your money, they'll give you 0 to 2%. Something wrong with that system, isn't it? And again, coming from the financial background, I've worked at a bank for over 10 years, not mentioning any names because I don't talk down on anything, any institution, but that's exactly what we would do. We would have a meeting right before we would even open our doors, again, in this financial firm, saying, hey, if somebody comes in, you're helping that client out, they come to your, again, teller window or your desk, First thing you do, you punch in their social security number or you put in their account number, the rest of their accounts come up. If you see somebody has over $100,000, then you get them to sit down with the investment advisor that's in the same exact institution, right? Just a little few desks down. Makes sense? So the ones that have money, let's help them grow that money. But what happens to the people that didn't have the hundreds of thousands of dollars? What did we do with those individuals? Guess what? Nothing, right? We would either, put them in an account that earned 0 to 2%, or worse, we would offer them credit cards. The ones that don't have money, let's get them into more debt, because that's the only other way that we're going to earn interest off of them. And the ones that do have money, let's help them grow it. That's how again, crazy the financial world is. And that's why I'm so excited to be part of a firm that educates people. And again, we don't charge people for the education. We don't even make it mandatory for them to do anything with us. We just want to raise the awareness so people understand there is a way. Makes sense? Now, okay, now we understand, again, the institution aspect of it, of how money is going to work. But now let's take a look at how it's going to grow. So where to go, how it's going to grow. There's 3 ways that money grows. And no matter what financial firm you go to, there's only 3 ways that money grows. All right, depending on which ones they have available. But again, our firm, we're a marketing firm, so we work with every top product provider in the marketplace. So we have availabilities in any of these that I'm showing you right now. But your money could grow in a fixed account, in a variable account, or an index account. Fixed account, right? They have a guarantee rate. And most of the time, again, those are the 0 to 1% accounts, or even, again, max 2% accounts. But think about this. That also guarantees a loss, because if cost of living is going up more than 2%, which it is, up to 4%, and your money is only earning, let's say, 1 or 2%, you're already losing money. Your money is losing value. And of course, there are variable accounts. Again, that's invested in the market. So if the market goes up, your money goes up. If the market goes down, your money goes down. And that's what a lot of people are faced with right now, because the market is facing some crazy times right now. And again, majority of people have lost 40% of their income in their 401ks or anything that's in a variable account. That's why there's an alternative. There's another option called index accounts. Index account gives you like the best of both worlds, right? They give you guarantees with the potential up, rate of return of the market, but it guarantees that you will never lose money. Gives you caps at the top. There's a certain amount, up to 15% growth, but 0% loss. Isn't that incredible? How many people would be excited to be in an account that, guaranteed no loss? You know what was awesome? All the people around us were panicking. Every single person in our firm was calling their clients and saying, Mr. Klein, don't worry about it. Your money is safe. You haven't lost a penny. How awesome is that if their money was in an index account? Now let's take a look at how to keep it. Because if your money is growing, you're faced with taxes, aren't you? So there's 3 ways that money is taxed. There's tax now accounts, tax later accounts, and tax never accounts. Tax now accounts will be your savings CD accounts, right? Your mutual funds. At the end of every year, you're getting a 1099 that shows how much interest you've earned, and then you got to pay, income tax. Tax on that amount that you've earned. And then there's accounts that are called tax later, meaning tax deferred. Those are your 401ks, your IRAs, your annuity accounts. So as the funds are growing, you're not paying taxes, but at some point you do have to pay it. That's why they're called deferred or later. So when you start taking money out, your funds will still be taxed. You know how many people I've met that have 401ks and they think they will never have to pay taxes? That's absolutely not true. They're deferred, but not exempt. Okay, so you have to, again, talk to a financial professional so they could explain the difference to you. And tax never accounts will be your Roth IRAs or anything that has a life insurance that has cash value, again, combined, like an umbrella account under IRC 7702 plans. That's what they're called. Those are exempt from taxation. How important would it be for you to understand, again, wait a minute, so there's a way that my money could grow but never lose? That's incredible. And there's a way legally that I could be exempt from taxation as far as my growth is concerned. How awesome is that? That's why it's so important, you guys, for you not to talk to just random people around you, but actually sit down with a professional that's licensed in this specific area, that could sit and do a complete financial checkup for you and give you the proper advice on what is best for you. Makes sense? Look at this. So we look at how money grows. Now let's take a look, because we talked about, right? You have to know how it grows, but you also have to understand how to protect it. So I'm going to briefly go over the different types of insurances that's out there. Again, There's so many things that are entailed in each one of these, but I don't have the time to sit and explain to you today. But definitely what you want to do again is sit down with a licensed professional and they could explain one by one and do complete, illustrations just that's tailored towards your needs. But briefly, let's go over it so you understand, because there's so much confusion in this area. There's insurance products that are called term products. What does that mean? Those are temporary coverages. Typically, these are the least expensive type of products out there that give you some protection. Why? Because again, they have an expiration date, but it's still better than nothing. Makes sense? Obviously, you want something that's going to last forever, but if somebody isn't able to afford it, it's better to have something that's going to temporarily protect them versus nothing at all. All right? So it goes all the way, from 10 years all the way to 30 years. Now, the awesome thing about what has changed in the insurance industry, that even term products, temporary coverage products, have living benefits attached to them. Certain products have those combined, like, again, benefits with the term coverage. So in case of a death, or in case of some kind of a disability, or for instance, chronic, critical, or terminal illnesses, your term coverage will be able to, again, give you a percentage of that income for you, even though you're still alive. Makes sense? Because that's the misconception that people have is, oh, insurance is only when I die. No, 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 not anymore. So much has changed, right? So much has changed. Insurance is not just only when you die. Insurance is also when you're living, but you have some kind of a health challenge that could also protect you. How important is that? Because before, again, 75% of people will face some kind of a health challenge before they pass away. So imagine if a product is only covering after passing away, what about the rest of the 75% that are struggling financially? Again, this is a best option for people that, again, that looking at low cost but high, benefits. This is incredible. I'm going to give you a quick story. We had a client, she was in her late 40s. She came to me, and again, through a referral from one of our agents, she came to us, and we gave her a policy, right? We wrote her a term coverage for 30 years actually, and she was going to get a $300,000 living benefit term insurance. 6 months after, 6 months, you guys, only 6 months after she had this policy that was issued by one of our carriers, she called me to tell me that she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, she couldn't have anticipated this. For 6 months before that, she qualified for the product with the perfect health rating, preferred elite, right? The best rating possible. But yet, 6 months later, she was faced with this huge challenge. Single mother, divorced, right? One source income. Think about that. Now she has this huge health challenge that she has to face with. We filed a claim with the company literally 3 months later, because we had to get some doctor diagnosis and all that stuff. Less than 3 months later, actually, the company paid her, close to 300,000 in living benefits. One lump sum check that was paid to this client for her, again, because she was facing a critical illness. Isn't that incredible? You know why? Because there's no way we could take back the illness, but we could put somebody's mind at ease. So they're, at the same time that they're trying to, get treatment, they're not worried about their financial situation as well. She was able, thank goodness, it's been now 5 years since that happened. She is completely cancer free. She used that money to get the best treatment possible. She was able to take time off from work and just focus on her health. That's how important this stuff is, you guys. Don't put this stuff away. Don't delay stuff that is so important, because you never know what's going to happen. Now, there's also products that are permanent coverages, but they only give you insurance. That's it. But you could add long-term care riders to it. Makes sense? There are products that are called Index Universal Life. Now, the beauty about this one is, when I showed you earlier, you have the index account that's growing in an account that gives you guarantees, right? So you have cash accumulation as well as an insurance attached to it. So guess what? When you put those two things together, the cash that's growing in an account is exempt from taxation. And with this product as well, you could have living benefits to cover you in, again, those major health challenges. And last one is whole life. Now, whole life gives you permanent coverage. It has cash accumulation, but it's either or. You could either take the cash or you could take the death benefit, but not both. The only one that you could do both is the index universal life, because you have the cash as well as the insurance, and it's going again inside the cash. When you touch the cash, it doesn't minimize the insurance. But again, I don't want to confuse you. Just understand there's 4 ways that you could protect yourself, and there's a product for every budget. For every budget. The only bad thing is you got to qualify. So make sure you qualify before some kind of a health challenge, appears. But then, because then it's too late. I promise you, we've paid countless and countless of claims to our clients. And none of the times that we've ever delivered a check from either, again, somebody passing away or for living benefits, have we ever faced a client that has said, I wish I had less. Every single time, 100% of the time, every single client has said, I wish I had more. Every time a beneficiary, I wish my dad had more. I wish they had protected more. I wish my husband had more. I wish I had protected myself more. Makes sense? Whether it's a living benefit or not. Also, when it comes to the saving, because guess what? We don't want anybody to have any health issues, right? We don't want to face any of that stuff. We want to live a long, healthy life, but that also costs, because you run out of money when you live long also. So if you have an account that's growing that money, giving you guarantees, and is giving you living benefits, you have all of the best worlds. Makes sense? So look at this. How do we figure this out? I asked you a question earlier. How do I know which one is right for me? I'm now more confused, right? What is she talking about? I don't understand. It's okay. There's a way to do this, right? Because this sheet that you're looking in front of you right now, it's called financial needs analysis. This is almost like the way we figure out the prescription for somebody's financial solution. Because this is what we use to give somebody a prescription. Makes sense? Just like doctors do, right? When you go to a doctor, they do a complete health checkup. They, even though you don't have a headache, you don't have a fever, you don't have blood pressure, they still have to do all that stuff before they even let you see the doctor. Makes sense? Before the doctor recommends any medication or any form of treatment, they first have to check you out. So this is what the financial needs analysis is for. We look at people's assets and liabilities, right? You see assets and liabilities right here. Look at exactly, what they have coming in and what they have going out. Makes sense? And the way we find out how much somebody needs as far as protection, how do they protect themselves, is there's a method called the DIME method. And you want to sit down again with a licensed professional so they could do the DIME method for you and calculate exactly what you need. It's a simple formula. Once you learn it, you're going to love it. You're going to know exactly how to do it for yourself, for your loved ones. Makes sense? You're going to be able to sit down and do a DIME method. Man, this is exactly what I need. You're going to be a doctor yourself, right? When it comes to the financial world, financial prescription. It's awesome. Everybody needs to have a DIME method done. If you do nothing else, contact the person again that invited you to this webinar and tell them, hey, what was that crazy girl talking about? What is that DIME method she's saying? Can you help me find out what my liabilities are and how much I need protection for? Everybody needs to know their liabilities, you guys, and how much is, again, it's going to be done through the DIME method. The second formula you need to know is the wealth formula, because that's going to show you, how to build your assets. And guess what? There's a simple formula for that as well. But it's not something that we could do in a group setting, because it has to be catered to you. We have hundreds of people that's on this call right now. Every single one of you is in a different financial situation currently. So you have to sit down again, get your own financial needs analysis. And you know what the best part is? That blew my mind completely when I first started, is that this financial needs analysis, doing a DIME method and using the wealth formula, is completely, get this, completely complementary, meaning you don't have to spend a dime to figure out, again, what your liabilities and how much assets you need. Somebody could help you get your DIME method done. Somebody could show you the wealth formula, get your financial needs analysis in order so you know exactly what you need and how to get there with $0. It's incredible. You guys, the bank I worked at, we used to charge $800 to our clients for us to sit down with them for 30 minutes to do a financial checkup. Now think about that. That's crazy. Somebody's going to spend $800 so somebody could do a financial checkup on them and tell them they're struggling financially. Doesn't make sense. This was the thing that I fell in love with. I'm like, man, everybody needs to do an FNA, right? Everybody needs to do their financial needs analysis. You get your health check, you get your car check, you get your teeth check. Guess what? You also got to get your financial situation checked. All right. I think I said enough about this one, but let's do some, important parts as far as for you to understand now. Okay, so you look at your liabilities, you look at your assets. Now there's three different ways that you could put yourself in a financial foundation. You could say, you know what? I only need something that's going to protect my liabilities. I don't need nothing else. I don't want to learn how to build, assets for the future. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to protect my mortgage. I want to protect my kids' education. I want to protect, the debt I've accumulated. That's all I want. Great. Then there's an insurance protection for that. And then there are some people that will say, you know what? I want nothing to do with insurance. I don't want to protect, my loved ones. I just want to learn how to grow money. How do I grow money? I have some money sitting in an account, or I have some budget every month. There's a gap between my flow and my expenses. Where do I put this money and how do I grow it? Awesome, right? There's also solutions for that. But then there are those that say, I want both. I want both. That was my husband and I. We're like, why do we have to choose? We got to protect ourselves. Absolutely. At the time, like we're saying, we have a 6-month-old baby, but we also want to learn how to grow it. As little as we have, can you show us how we could put money aside so it grows? But we don't want to do it separately because then that costs too much. How do we do it so it's all in one? There are products out there that give you cash accumulation and insurance protection in one product. It's incredible. One product. And the top 4%, 5% of the wealthy understand and know about this product, and that's what they're using. All right. And the beauty of it is that because you get both in one, you also get tax advantages. Make sense? It's incredible. You got to find out what you need for your family. Absolutely amazing. All right. So if you just want insurance protection, then again, you go with the term or the universal life insurances. If you need only cash accumulations, there are index annuities, again, some other vehicles that could help you just for the savings aspect. But then there's an IUL. It's called Index Universal Life that combines both worlds into one product and gives you all the living benefits and the tax advantages and the cash accumulation and the insurance protection. It's incredible. Everybody needs to know this stuff. Everybody. Now, let me give you a quick, we're getting ready to wrap it up, but I want to show you small, quick illustrations, right? Again, you got to find out, you got to sit down with the person that is, has invited you to this so they could do your own, because your age, your health situation, right? All that matters. But this is just an example. So you understand, because the biggest misconception is that I got to have a lot of money for me to have protection. Absolutely not true. Look at this example right here, you guys. 35-year-old female with a good health, right? She's preferred plus, meaning she has no health concerns, no health issues. Look at the face amount, meaning the coverage, the insurance coverage of $500,000, $500,000 insurance coverage for 30 years. Look at that red line. 30 years, it's costing $37.41 for somebody to put $500,000 of the state into their family from day one. That's a little over $1 a day. Now, when somebody tells me I don't have money to protect my family, it's a lie. I don't believe that. You know why? Because there's always a way. $1 a day, we waste more than $1 on a daily basis. I'd rather us cut, from, something that isn't making us money or isn't protecting my family versus putting my family's life at risk, jeopardy, right? Financially. Look at that. That's incredible, right? Look at this other example. Now, let's say somebody says, I don't want just insurance. I want that account that does both, right? I want the insurance. I want the living benefits, but I also want that cash accumulation. I'm so excited to find out about that. Look at this. This example shows a 35-year-old, again, with good health, male, $250,000 coverage and living benefits. So all $250,000 is available for living benefits. So in case something happens, they're able to access that $250,000 in advance. Makes sense? But if they don't, that money will go to their loved ones if something happens. Now, $300 a month, like what, $10 a day, $10 a day puts them in a position like this. Look at what happens to this individual. Not only do they have $250,000 in living benefits and long-term care and insurance coverage, but by the age of 65, this person will accumulate over $250,000 in cash value. Make sense? Not only they have the $250,000, because if you look at the death benefit under the age of 65 right here, right? You see that they have over 500,000 in coverage now because they've accumulated the $250,000. Now they could use the $250,000, again, take that out because it's cash accumulated, or they could leave it for their beneficiaries. It's completely up to them. Man, it's crazy. $10 a day. But you got to figure out what yours is. First, you got to find out what your FIN number is. You got to know what your liabilities are by doing a DIME method. You got to understand how to grow your assets by checking the wealth formula. And then you put those two together and you come up with a plan. Now, let me ask you a question. How many people need this? How many out of 10 people that you talk to, how many people do you think actually know about this stuff? Majority of them do not. How many people do you think actually have a savings plan already in place? I promise you, 90 to 95% of them do not. So now look at this. Imagine this now, because this is what happened with us. In the beginning, we just looked at this and like, everybody needs this. So our trainer said, hey, they do. Everybody needs this. Imagine now you come in to an industry that is so needed. How many people need financial education today? Imagine being in a position where you're in an industry, you're part of an industry that is an essential business, right? And it's recession proof and isolation proof. Doesn't matter. We're an essential business. We're able to still operate. Our business hasn't suffered at all. Our income has actually even gone up in a time like this. Why? Because now more than ever, people are aware of, about the fact that they need to start saving. They need to protect themselves. So imagine yourself being in a business that is helping you make money and you're able to save more than $300 a month. Look at this example, you guys. Let's say you're putting $2,000 a month in a plan like this. Again, a 40-year-old, let's say, preferred elite rating, again, has $1 million coverage from day one, meaning even if something happens to this person tomorrow, $1 million will be paid to that family. Amazing stuff, right? Nobody wants to die. Don't get me wrong. That's not amazing. The amazing part is that, man, you're at peace. I sleep better at night knowing my kids are protected. Makes sense? No matter what happens to me, they're going to be okay. All right, look at this. Now, if this person is putting $2,000 a month into this account, look what happens to the cash accumulation. By the age of 65, this individual will have over $1.2 million in their cash accumulation, right? Over $2.2 million of death benefit will be paid to their family, even if they don't use that account. It's crazy, you guys. This is the stuff that's out there. You have to understand the compounding effect, again, how to minimize taxation, how to grow, how to outpace inflation. What do you need to do? How do you need to, properly position yourself? Because every bit counts. Having a financial advisor and planner and a mentor is key to understanding this stuff. I know it may have been confusing, but I promise you, we do, again, one-on-one basis. This is just general information. I'm just throwing everything at you. You got to sit down with the person, that's, again, professional and that could help you. Look at this one really quickly. If somebody just wants to grow income, and say they took their 401k money out, right? Because nowadays, actually, they're allowing you to take your 401k money because everybody's losing so much in those accounts, and take it somewhere else. So if you have money sitting in a 401k account, you're able to put into index annuity accounts that guarantees no loss ever, no matter what happens to the market. On an average, they've earned about 7.77% interest rate. Look at this, you guys. By the age of 65, a person that puts over, a little over $300,000 into an annuity will have over $1.2 million already accumulated for their future. And that's awesome, isn't it? With no loss. Look at that. Look at this one, right? Again, showing you how much it's going to accumulate. This is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Even if it's just $100,000 rollover, right? If you have $100,000 in retirement money, you don't know what to do with it. Speak with a professional. They'll guide you in the right direction. There's so many options out there. I know I said a lot of things in a very short amount of time. I'm just so passionate about this stuff, you guys. I'm sorry if I went over too fast and some things were missed, but I just want people to understand how important this stuff is. It's just as important as, some of the things that you worry about on a daily basis. Your financial stability, you being in a position where you're at peace and you never have to worry about money, is one of the greatest feelings that you could possibly have. See, I've been in both positions. I've been at the lowest low, right? Where I was afraid to even pick up the phone. I was afraid to look at the mail. I was afraid of what's going to happen, because again, I was faced in, so much financial burden. I understand what that feels like, but I also understand that we all have a choice to come out of that. If we position ourselves, if we put things in the right perspective and realize that, you know what, it's okay that I was there, but how do I get myself out of it? And we're open enough to listen, then we'll be able to have the right tools that will be shown to us for us to be able to understand. And the best thing about our company, the fact that we tell you, hey, don't listen to nobody, right? There's so many agents out there that say mine is better than this one. We don't believe in any of that. So we say, hey, come, get licensed, get trained, learn this stuff on your own, because you will be the best person that will know what's best for your family, right? Nobody else. If you are financially educated and you understand how money works and you understand the difference of the different products that's out there, you'll be able to make a better sound decision for you instead of relying on somebody else. Does that make sense? That's why I love the fact that our company also gives people an opportunity, not only just to take advantage of the products and the solutions and be clients, but also at the same time for them to have the opportunity to become an agent in the financial world. Makes sense? Because look at this. Well, I mentioned we're a World Financial Group backed by Transamerica and an Aegon company that's over 150 years old, over 500 billion in assets, growing even at a time like this, right? Is one of the top broker dealers in the entire nation. It's incredible, you guys. And we work with some of the top product providers in the marketplace, as I mentioned. So when you look at World Financial Group, we don't have a product of our own. WFG does not have a product, but we market some of the top carriers in the marketplace. You could say we're the Amazon of financial services. Make sense? You could go to a specific financial institution, just the one that I used to work at, even though we knew, let's say 2 doors down, there was another bank that had a better rate, we would never tell that to our client because we wanted them to get the product from us. And that's not right, right? It's not suitable for everybody. Now, when I come here, I'm like, man, we work with everyone. So when I sit down with the client, literally, my only objective is to meet that client's need and provide them with the best suitable product for them, no one else. Because I work with everybody, it doesn't matter. Makes sense? It's whatever's suitable for you. And these are some of the names that that you see on your screen, and there's so many more that obviously we can't fit them all, but that's how you have to understand. You could go to one specific one that's going to make you believe theirs is the best, or you could go to a marketing organization that works with all of them and never provides a solution, right? We never provide a solution unless a financial analysis has been completed, unless we've gotten again, the right checkup done on you. Then we could tell you, okay, now I could tell you what your options are and give you some choices so you could decide what's better for your family based on your budget and your current economic situation. Makes sense? And lastly, again, our company is helping people create a better financial future because, to summarize, there are 4 crises that people are faced with. The income crisis, because again, 80% of people aren't making enough. They're living on one source income, and that income is now at jeopardy. We're helping people, with the protection crisis, because 40% of parents have left their kids completely unprotected. So if something happens to them, God knows what's going to happen to that family. I've seen both scenarios. I've seen families that have left their families with a big life insurance, and I've seen those that haven't. And I promise you, you never want to be in a position where you're the one that didn't protect your responsibilities. If you love your family, you protect your family. Makes sense? And of course, the crisis of poor savings habit, because most people aren't saving enough, and the retirement crisis, because most people are going to retire and not have enough money. So our company helps people in all of these 4 areas. Today, you are part of the financial solutions, the middle one, right? You were able to participate in our financial solutions class where we briefly talked about a little bit about how money works, how it grows, and what the options are out there. Again, once we sit down with you on one-on-one basis, we'll be able to go into much more detail, again, by looking at some of those formulas that we talked about. But our company also provides training and mentorship, right? So people are able to help themselves and improve themselves, because the mind that got you to where you are today is not going to be the mind and the person that's going to get you to your dreams, you guys. Something has to change. Is that right? Karina and Jack, that started 16 years ago in this financial institution, are not the same people. If we stayed the same, if we had no training, if we had no mentorship, I promise you, not only would we be in debt, God knows what would have happened to our family by now from stress. Make sense? We had to change, we had to grow, we had to associate with mentors that were already making the millions of dollars in order for us to start making the millions of dollars. It's incredible. It's awesome. Our company also provides business ownership, right? For you to have financial reward, for you to have a company within a company that will pay you passive residual income for generations to come. So no matter what job closes, what happens, you have enough passive income, not active income, that will last not just in your lifetime, but in your kids' lifetime and so on and so forth, right? We're leaving a legacy because there's only two positions you could be in. You're either working and building somebody else's legacy or you're building your own. Either way, you're working. Makes sense? Position yourself in the right place. And, my only hope is for you to understand that financial planning takes, again, effort. It's not just going to happen by wishful thinking. It's not just going to happen because you dream about it, right? Your dreams could become reality. Absolutely. When somebody told me in the beginning, the Kareem, you have a potential, through our business system and financial solutions platform, to turn your annual income into your monthly income. I looked at them like they were crazy. But guess what? That has happened. Why? Because we've positioned ourselves in the right vehicle, with the right mentors, with the right solutions, and we've been able to achieve that. If I could do it, everybody could do it. Make sense? So I pray for your safety. I pray for your family's well being. Make sure the minute you end this call, you get in touch with the person that gave you this webinar link. And first and foremost, please thank them because they thought of you. Honestly, because I'm telling you, most people are just part of the problem. Very few are part of the solution. And we want you to be part of that solution as well. So thank them for thinking of you and giving you this opportunity to learn. And secondly, set up a time where you could have a one-on-one Zoom conference. If, again, we could do the social distancing through Zoom. We'll be able to, again, show you the dime method, the Volt formula, do a financial needs analysis, and figure out what your PIN number is so you could have the freedom that your family deserves. God bless you all. It's been my privilege and absolute honor to spend this 1 hour with you. Thank you so much for your time. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.